From a physiological standpoint, if you train 7 days a week, you're likely not making more progress than if you just train 6, 5, or potentially even 4 adequate training days per week. But you might just prefer it from an enjoyment perspective. If that's the case, we need to remember that adequate training plus adequate recovery is what equals long-term sustained progress. Even with adequate training, if we're falling short of adequate recovery, then we're falling short of optimal progress and growth. Likewise, even if recovery was perfect, but we're not stimulating growth from adequate training, we're still falling short of optimal progress. So if we want optimal progress with 7 training days per week, there are a few things that we need to consider to make sure that we're balancing our sessions accordingly. Movement patterns, volume, intensity, and listening to your body, otherwise known as autoregulation. So 1, movement patterns. It's just not practical to hit the same movement pattern day after day after day, back to back to back. Continuously pushing the same muscle group with minimal rest hinders both recovery from the previous session and performance on the next session. Over time, we're looking at potentially leading to plateaus or even worse, regressions in performance altogether. So make sure you're divvying up the frequency of hitting specific movement patterns based on how they respond to training. Some movement patterns might benefit from higher frequencies, while other movement patterns might benefit from slightly lower frequencies. Find what works best for you. The second variable we really want to pay attention to is volume. Training each muscle group multiple times a week means you need to balance your volume carefully. It's not practical to do a moderate or high amount of sets, particularly on the same movement patterns every single day that you train them. Even if each session individually has less volume for a particular muscle group, we can still easily get in more total volume throughout the entire week if we're training 7 days a week. So let's look at an example. With 4 to 5 training days per week, you might hit a particular muscle group with 4 to 6 sets twice a week, totaling 8 to 12 total sets. With training every day, you might perform less sets per individual session, let's say 3 to 4 sets, but you do it over more days throughout the week, let's say 3 to 4 total training days, which would total 9 to 16 total sets. So this approach keeps your muscles engaged throughout the week without ever overdoing it on any one single day. The third variable we want to look at is intensity. With more frequent training sessions, managing intensity is crucial. It's just not practical to hit very heavy weights on a muscle group 3 to 4 times per week or always going to failure. Instead, let's vary our rep ranges. Lower rep ranges like 5 to 8 reps require heavier weights, while higher rep ranges like 15 to 20 reps use lighter weights. Changing or undulating our rep ranges throughout the week will help us manage fatigue and allow recovery to still take place while training every single day. As an aside, additionally, this kind of variation can help to promote further growth because we know from the research that strategic variation is beneficial compared to keeping things static week over week and month over month. The fourth variable we want to look at is listening to your body, or again, autoregulation. This is arguably the most important thing here, and it's that no singular thing is set in stone. Training programs are not, or at least should not, be fixed. If you need to adjust your weights, do so. If you need to adjust your reps, do so. If you need to adjust your training days, then do so. There is no harm in taking an extra rest day here and there based on how you feel. You know your body better than anyone else, so listen to it and adjust accordingly if you want to maximize your results.